Hello and welcome to this session. This is session 6 of Unit 3 Public Sector Budgeting. In this session, we'll be looking at some principles of budgetary governance in the public sector. So by the end of the session, we should be able to explain budgetary governance and also explain the principles of good budgetary governance in public finance. Right. So what then is budgetary governance? So budgetary governance, as the name suggests, is basically a governance mechanism to take charge of budget and budgetary preparation in the public sector space. Right. So there are some mechanisms that are being put in place in order to ensure that there is sustainability and also the budget achieves the objectives that has been set for it, right? So you are saying budgetary governance refers to the process, laws, structures, and institutions. So these are the mechanisms that we are talking about in place for ensuring that the budgeting system meets its objective in a sustainable and enduring manner. So there are mechanisms that are in place. That those are the processes, the laws, the structures, and then the institutions. Now, in the previous sessions, we looked at some of the regulations, right? So the institutions too. We can talk of the audit agency, we can talk of the Ministry of Finance. So these institutions and regulations are in place to ensure that the budget meets the objectives that it was prepared for, and then also to it should be able we should, that those mechanisms ensure that the budget are achieved in a sustainable and enduring manner. So we are saying a sound budgeting system is one which engenders trust among citizens that government in a broad sense, right? So basically, a, a sound budgeting system should have that trust from the citizens, and also the broad populace should be able to have some trust in it that this particular budget will be able to achieve the objective of the country in an efficient and an effective way. Let's then look at the principles of a good budgetary governance. There are about 9 or 10 principles. So we look at these principles one after the other. So the first principle, which is saying that budgets should be managed within clear, credible, and predictable limits for fiscal policy. So we are saying for any budget, the budget should be managed in a way that is very clear, like that is credible, and then you should be able to predict the limits of the fiscal policy. So you are saying a sound fiscal policy is one which avoids build-up of large and unsustainable debt, which is in favorable economic times to build up resilience and buffers against more difficult times. So the buyer should be able to have to predict like some fiscal policies that will ensure that the budget and everything is sustainable by a very long time. So the principle 2, which states that budgets should be closely aligned with the medium-term strategic priorities of government. So for every budget, in order for the budget system should to be considered as a very good one, we are saying that the budget that has been prepared for that particular period should be aligned with the medium-term expenditure framework. Right. So basically, the previous year we had some medium-term expenditure framework. What the budget we are having the current year should be aligned to this expenditure framework. We shouldn't be going overboard, or we shouldn't have new um, expenditure estimations that are way out of what was predicted or what was forecasted in the previous year. The third principle is that the capital budgeting framework should be designed to meet national development needs in a cost-effective and coherent manner. So the budgeting framework is any cost like attached to it should be a way like in a way that is very effective. We shouldn't incur more costs in coming up with a budget um, than than uh, than necessary. Like so the cost that we are incurring in terms of capital investment plans and co shouldn't be more, right? Basically, that's the third principle of a good budgetary governance. The fourth principle is that budget documents and data should be open, transparent, and accessible. We should be able to access these budget documents, or the inputs that were used for these documents should be accessible. Any assumption and any data used should be accessible and open for all. There shouldn't be any restrictions to accessing the document and input used in the formulation of the budget. Now, the fifth principle is that debate on budgetary choices should be inclusive, participative, and realistic. the public, the citizens, and everyone should be allowed, or voices should be heard in the budget discussion processes. And then whatever is in the budget to should include the voices of the citizens, because the budget have been prepared for the citizens, right? So we should be able to hear the voices, and also the citizens should be able to participate in the entire budget process, right? The sixth principle says that budget should present a comprehensive, accurate, and reliable account of the public finances. Now, if you have a budget and then the budget is saying something different from what is actually going on the ground, like what people are experiencing, what people are seeing, then this budget is not actually telling the true story, right? So in order for a budget to be of good budgetary governance, we are saying that the budget should actually be accurate and comprehensive and reliable account of what the public finances, or what is going on actually in the public space. The principle 7 is saying that budget execution should be actively planned, managed, and monitored. Right, so there should be a clear monitoring processes and planning going on during the budgetary process or the budgetary cycle. We should see clear plans. We should see clear monitoring of the budget. Who is ensuring that the budget has been achieved? Who is ensuring that we have hit this target? Right, that should be ensured. The eighth principle is that performance evaluation and value for money should be integral to the budget process. We are saying that whatever we are doing should be of value for money. We cannot budget for something that we know that the cost exceeds the value that we are going to obtain from it, right? So the budget should be efficient, it should be less costly, and then it should be effective, right? Now the ninth principle here is that longer term sustainability and other fiscal risks should be identified, assessed, and managed prudently. The budget should be able to tell us or to give some risks that they've identified in the future, right? So if you are here, the budget should be able to determine some risk factors that we are probable to face, and then gives some way of managing these particular risk factors in a prudent manner, right? So if your budget is able to meet this particular, I think there is a good governance, or there is a good budgetary governance process around that particular budget, right? Now the 10th principle, and the last one, states that the integrity and quality of budgetary forecasts, fiscal plans, and budgetary plans should be promoted through rigorous and efficient manner, including independent audits, right? So the budget, the forecast, and everything around it, we should see to be one of integrity, and then there should be independent audit around the budget, so that people can have that kind of trust, that people could believe what the budget has said. There shouldn't be a budget system where there is no audit or there is no accountability in there. What they've spent, that's it. Nobody goes to check if that if they spent what they actually said they spent, or if they recorded whatever they said they have recorded. So this brings us to the end of this session. Basically, in the session we've explained what budgetary governance is, what a good budgetary governance is, and then we've also looked at the 10 principles of budgetary governance. So this is basically the end of unit 3, where we looked at the budget cycle, that's the public sector budgeting. So let's take some few minutes to recap what we've discussed so far in this session before we move on. If there is any doubt or anything need further clarity, you can always go back and refer to that session or that slide to get clearer understanding.